James Sunderland, one of my all-time favorite video game protagonists. A man of hope, a man of undying love. A man so dedicated to his wife that he always fluffed her whoops. Welcome to Character Corner, where I take some of my favorite fictional characters and break down the psychology behind them that interests me. If you've managed to make it to one of my streams, you know I love Silent Hill 2. The darkness that spreads throughout the town, the underlying story told throughout the town, and the way it acclimates to the psychology of the protagonist, well, it interests me. There's so much to this franchise that I love. But before we start, I'd like to ask that you like and subscribe if you do end up liking this video. Maybe you'll learn something new or hear something funny, and every bit helps. So, without further ado, let's throw James into the corner, break all the locks, and take a look at what makes him tick. One of the first things to know about James Sunderland is that he is a much darker character than we realize. One thing I want to address is his self-destructive behavior, but at the same time, the ways we see that he is evolving and becoming better because of these behaviors. We can see this through several different mediums throughout the game, but one thing I really want to showcase is the alcoholism. We're going to watch the cutscene that showcases this, and then we're going to discuss all the little nuances and cool psych bits afterwards.
Here.
What are you doing?
Something to take the edge off. No? You sure? Fine. Be that way. Here's to hope. Undying.
We should probably get going.
Fine. Ready when you are.
Man, okay, there is a lot that we can pick up from the way James acts throughout this scene. But I want to start with the fact that many people may not have realized that he was an alcoholic beforehand. In the original game, you can find a large amount of alcohol bottles stacked up within Heaven's Night, to which James will admit that he is a heavy drinker. Quote, "It's not that I don't drink. In fact, I drink a fair bit. I get away from the pain, the loneliness, but the drinking never changes anything." So we can see from this that James deals with the stress of Mary's sickness and the other forms of trauma that he's faced through drinking. Stress is actually something very well studied in psychology, as well as coping mechanisms. So for those who don't know, coping is a way that we alleviate stress by using emotional, cognitive, and sometimes physical or even behavioral methods. One thing to note is that James is using an emotion-focused means of coping. Instead of looking at the problem and attempting to alleviate the direct form of stress, this is him avoiding the stressor, aka Mary, and attending to the loneliness and painful feelings by drinking. This is a common reason for people to become alcoholics, and believe it or not, many people don't actively choose to live this way. When dealing with large amounts of stress, or even persistent forms of stress, we often suffer from two different things: a perceived loss of control, and if it gets severe enough, learned helplessness. Loss of control is easy to visualize, isn't it? I mean, think about it. We've all had a moment, a day, a period of our lives where we felt that not only was there a loss of control, but that it was unfair for us to be in that position. Some people, however, have an even worse response: learned helplessness. This is when animals and people experience this loss of control for such an extended period of time that they just give up. This was actually found by two grad students. It's a really interesting experiment from Pennsylvania University in the 1960s. I'll let you look this up in your own time if you're interested, because the means by which they tested this hypothesis isn't important for the video. What is important, however, is that it is widely accepted and used in psychology to describe why people will turn to drugs, engage in antisocial behavior, and stay in broken relationships. So we can see clearly, very, very clearly, how this is bad. But how does this show an evolution in his character? Well, it's the simple fact that he doesn't drink. What we see is James becoming uncomfortable with the beverage, clearly from his body language, the way he constantly is looking to the glass, but he doesn't drink. He doesn't even touch the glass. Looking back in the cutscene, even his body language shifts from being very open and conversing with Maria to him leaning away as the bottle of whiskey is revealed. What we see is James acknowledging his stress reactions, his primed conditions, and fighting to control his impulse to ignore the glass. Look how his hands fidgets, his lips quiver, even the way he fights to remove himself from the actual bar table. There is a very noticeable amount of stress and amount of effort that he's putting forward. What we see here is James practicing and building self-control, which is the ability for us to control our impulses. This is important because we see him fighting to be a better person, a better man, to have greater control over himself and to maintain that control. He is trying to continue his quest to find where Mary is, even if we know that she's kind of gone. The last point I want to bring up is a scene I don't see talked about often enough at this point, and that's his confrontation with Angela after the abstract daddy fight.
Okay, Angela. It's okay. Calm down.
Don't order me around!
I'm not. It's okay. It's over.
Don't even try.
Try what?
Like you don't know. I see what you're doing. It's always the same with you. You're only after one thing.
Angela, please.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead. Say it. Or you could just force me. Like he always did. You disgusting pig. I hate you. I hate you.
Angela. I don't know who you think I am, but I don't want to hurt you. I just want to get my Mary back.
You're Mary. Your own little Mary. At least she was. For a while.
What?
Admit it. You didn't want her around anymore.
No.
You probably found someone else.
No!
I need to find my mama.
I never.
We see here a very alarming side to James from two simple words. I marry. In my mind, this is a solid showcasing of how possessive and controlling of the memory of Mary he is. Not to say that this is how he was when she was alive. He may have been a very good partner, great even. All the way up until, well, the end of the relationship. But even people in controlling or manipulative relationships often have a hard time dealing with control. They have to feel comfortable and confident that they are in control of their partners. And when they're not, that is often when they will assert the need for dominance in physical, emotional, and mental violence. We can also see this in the ending where he leaves Silent Hill with Maria. For those who don't know, Maria is an idealized version of Mary that Silent Hill made specifically to torture James. In this ending, they leave and Maria begins to cough. James, without even turning around, says, "You'd better do something about that cough." That line alone is what made me stop everything else to make the script. This is a version of James that has given in to his worst behaviors, every temptation, and ultimately, he's chosen to accept the truth while abandoning the need for atonement in his character. In psychology, we have a term known as cognitive dissonance, and this is a state of discomfort that occurs when someone holds conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes, or even when their actions contradict those beliefs. Let's put ourselves in James's position right now. Imagine you've been hoping, to a point even believing, that your dead partner was really alive, just to find out that you killed them. The amount of stress, discomfort, and paranoia, it can lead, all of these things can lead to this state. So what do? Perhaps in some worlds, you come to accept it, push forward, seek forgiveness, and attempt to atone with the past that led to a life of shame. But in some worlds where our darkest impulses went out, we accept it. There's an acknowledgement, yes, but no sense of guilt. We roll by that knowledge as though it were covered in deep fog, and we go to our next destination. So what if that happened? It doesn't affect me now, because why should it? I did a bad thing, but so what? That doesn't make me a bad person. And even if I was, it's not like I have to change my life. It's not like I have to deal with the consequences of it. I can just go past it. And so it's because we see so many different versions of James, a man who struggles and fights to understand himself, that I love and adore his character. We see him as all types of different things throughout this game. And online, there's a lot of people who have very heated discussions about him. Whether or not he's a good character, whether or not he's a good protagonist, whether or not you like him or if you despise him, if you think he should receive some amount of retribution for the things that he's done. And you know what? That's okay. I think that that's perfectly fine. That's what makes him a great character. Because whether or not you agree with the idea that suffered enough that he's changed as a character and that he's moved past these things, or if he deserves to, well, have some retribution, face justice. Either way, you're correct about this character. He's a complicated man, and that's what I love about him. Alright, that's the end of our first character corner. What do you think? Do you agree with the things I said? Do you disagree? What are your thoughts? Leave a like, comment, tell me what you think, and what character you want to see next, and maybe we'll check them out next time. All I know is that right now, I'm thinking of going for Jackpot.